Hi, I'm Chuck Colson with this week's 2-Minute Warning. The world's attention is riveted on the Middle East and particularly Libya. But what's stirring inside of us? Gaddafi is a fiend. There's no other way to put it. No humane person could be rooting for him to smash the Libyan rebels. The drama of war, the video that we're seeing, has caught our eye, and it has made us furious. The civilized Western world has got to do something to stop a genocide. But there's another side of this. After reading a marvelous article by theologian Michael Novak in the Wall Street Journal, I'm convinced that what we're seeing in Libya and what's capturing the imagination of the world is the stirring of freedom in the hearts of an oppressed people. Novak lays this out brilliantly in the article. It's something I've talked about often. Freedom is the natural condition of man. Every human being made in the image of God, Christian or Muslim or anyone else, was created to be free, endowed with free will to pursue a life well lived. As Novak points out, it took us in the Judeo-Christian West millennia to fully understand the nature of man, the nature of freedom, and to develop what we now know as democracy and free political systems. We should absolutely not be surprised that the people of Tunisia, Egypt, Yemen, and other countries, now Libya, have that same yearning for freedom as we do, because they too bear the image of God, even though their religion, Islam, does not teach that they're created in God's image. Nonetheless, by virtue of their humanity, they too want to be free. And what we might be seeing in Libya and across the Middle East is the fruit of that desire. Now, I have no illusions that all of a sudden people who have never in hundreds of years lived under a democratic system will create what we in the West would recognize as a liberal democratic government. But I'm beginning to think that what is fueling their revolt is a desire to create a system in which the people have a say, a system in which there's a measure of political freedom. I've also got to admit that I may have been wrong about what's going on in the Middle East. Anybody who's listened to my breakpoints or read my writings know that I've taken very seriously the prophecy of the historian Samuel Huntington. He famously predicted a violent clash of civilizations in the 21st century, primarily between the West and a radicalized Islam. But was Huntington right to predict a violent clash? That's the question David Brooks raises in the New York Times. I urge you to read his column. We've got a link for you here at the Colson Center. When I first saw what was happening in Egypt, I thought perhaps the revolt was being fueled by the Islamist Muslim Brotherhood. I now realize from the information we're receiving that it probably was not. Now, whether they or other Islamist groups will try to take over the popular uprising remains to be seen. But if Novak's right, for the first time we may be seeing genuine democratic surge within Islam. Wouldn't it be just like God? At a time when we're seeing the rise of radical Islam, the extremism of Islamofascism blowing up innocent civilians and creating havoc, that at the very same time God might raise up an independent democratic movement within the Islamic world? It's extraordinary, but that may be what's happening, and it's what we should hope and pray fervently for. I'm Chuck Colson. That's this week's 2-Minute Warning.